$56 in my Parks Casino account, and I'm about to go 20 large on Tiger Woods to win the Masters. You know why? Oh shit, I didn't mean to say the name. I meant to win the tournament. Forget I said that. To win the tournament. A $20 wager on Scotty Scheffler pays $22. That's no fun. I'm not taking Scotty Scheffler for $20 to pay 22. 20 on Tiger pays $3,000. In fact, there it is. Can you see? So with the touch of a button, here I go. I did it. Your bet has been placed. So I am in for 20. I'll tell you what. If Tiger hits everybody who's here right now, I'll buy a beer. Okay? Right now, if you're here, I'll buy a beer for you. Now we all have skin in the game. How great is that? All right? The BetParks app, it is safe, easy, and simple to use. BetParks.com has all the details. It's fun to have skin in the game. What a horrible weather forecast for where I am today. Tomorrow's going to be a nicer day in the Northeast, but I would like to. I hope I get a chance this weekend to watch the action. Now with my added incentive. Yeah. So that's it. We're all in this together. We are in this together. We are mingling. I have OJ on the brain, obviously because of his passing. Here's a little trivia for you. So OJ passed on Wednesday at age 76. And of course, when you think of OJ Simpson, you think of what? You think of the fact that he killed his ex-wife and her friend. Maybe then you think about OJ as a football star. But what would be number 3 on that list? Like murderer, football star, and then what? Hurts, right? If you're of a certain age, OJ running through airports in that ad campaign. Well, listen to this. I was just reading about OJ and the ad campaign. Hertz originally had no intention of using a celebrity. They had the slogan, the superstar in Rent-A-Car, and they weren't going to use anybody. They wanted to feature a harried businessman dashing through an airport. The company customer base was overwhelmingly white men. It was unclear at the time how receptive mainstream audiences would be to a black athlete sprinting across their screens. But when Hertz executives examined their campaign, they decided it needed a personality, and Simpson proved too enticing to pass on. Heisman Trophy winner at USC, he could appeal to customers who shared his zeal for achievement. Public perception of him was great. OJ himself described himself as colorless. Everybody loved him, yada, yada, yada. The partnership with Simpson was so strong, so lucrative for both, that the chief executive, Frank A. Olson, negotiated directly with OJ. Here's the trivia. Frank A. Olson died Wednesday. He was 91. Same day as OJ. OJ 76. Frank Olson, 91 years old. He's gone. It was really interesting to, and it was fun to reminisce with callers yesterday on radio and talk about the trial of the century and things that we remembered. And I couldn't keep a phone line open and could have done it for 3 hours. And frankly, I would not have been exhausted by all the people who wanted to remember trivia about the OJ case. And Jeffrey Toobin was a tremendous radio guest of mine yesterday, because a young Jeffrey Toobin sat in that courtroom and he told some of the interesting stories about what that was like. Monday begins another trial. Is it going to be the trial of the century? It's not, because of the most significant difference, which is a lack of cameras. And you know my view on this. If we have a right as a citizen to pull up a chair and watch something unfold, then we ought to be able to watch the public's business being done in similar fashion on TV. Like, there ought to be cameras in that New York courtroom. The lack of camera means that we're going to rely on press feeds in real time. You'll probably be able to go to the major outlets and hear what was said, but it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to have the same impact. And then Trump will appear probably from 40 Wall Street on a day-to-day basis and tell us what a sham it all is. But it's nevertheless significant. It's the first time a former president of the United States has faced a criminal prosecution. And for how long have we had the conversation about whether there would be a trial? And if there were a trial, which of the four would go first and what would be the impact? And the trial comes at a time when the race is a dead heat. The New York Times this morning released a brand new survey that shows, it's Trump 46, Biden 45, statistical tie. This is a shifting of the margin because Trump had led by a larger number in the national polls. Of course, we don't elect by popular vote. We elect by electoral college, but it's significant nonetheless. Something, and I tweeted this morning, a curiosity to me, and I guess I can explain it, but a curiosity to me is that the New York Times and Siena College, they did not include any third-party candidates. And in the poll write-up, they say that 5% of those that they contacted offered the names, most notably RFK Jr., of third-party candidates. I guess the answer as to why they didn't include Robert F. Kennedy and the others is that, at least in the case of Bobby, he's only officially on one ballot so far. But where the libertarians start out with, 45 or 46 states, and the Greens probably start out with 30 or 30 plus, I just find that curious. I think it would have been a far more meaningful poll. But okay, I get it. Biden and Trump are in a statistical dead heat. This is something shocking because one of these guys is going on trial on Monday, okay? And the other, voters have a better opinion of. Let me say that more clearly. In response to the question of whether you have a very favorable or somewhat favorable opinion of the candidates, and then you add the very favorable and somewhat favorable, Trump comes out higher than Biden. 43-41. That's unbelievable, right? Trump's going on trial. Trump twice, impeached, well, unsuccessfully, okay, not convicted, impeached but not convicted. But, say what you will about the two of them, but one guy on a personal level, one guy's too old and the other guy's unfit, right? And the guy with the personal baggage is the one that voters have a higher regard for. It's not just you can't make this stuff up, man. It's unbelievable. What else did I find interesting? 69% of voters see President Biden as too old. Trump, who turns 78 in June, would also be the oldest president if elected. Only 41%, still a big number, but in comparison to Biden, 41% see him as too old. The economy is a drag on the president. Immigration giving Trump his biggest edge. I told you about the lack of third-party candidates. So, about this trial. Poll question today at Smerconish.com asks, can Donald Trump get a fair trial in Manhattan? And remember now, it's a jury pool solely from the Isle of Manhattan. It's not the boroughs. It's the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. Trump is being prosecuted in Manhattan by the Manhattan DA in front of jurors exclusively from Manhattan. So if you were in Manhattan and summoned for jury duty, you're going to get something like this. This is the jury questionnaire. This is the voir dire, or to speak the truth process. And you would begin by answering questions that are biographical in nature. What neighborhood do you live in? What do you do for a living? Who's your employer? Are you married? What do you do in your spare time? Do you participate in any organizations or advocacy groups? Which ones? Love this. I hope I get a shout out here, maybe in the other category. What media? What media do you, how did they word it? Which of the following print publications, cable and or network programs, or online media such as websites, blogs, yada, 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 do you visit, read, or watch? Like, come on, where's the Smerconish.com newsletter? That's when you would know that we've arrived. Do you listen to watch podcasts, talk radio? Which programs? Again, they don't ask expressly what's your party, or for whom did you vote, or for whom will you vote. But you'd quickly be able to figure out the politics of prospective jurors from this questionnaire. And then the key, questions are these. Can you give us an assurance that you will be fair and impartial and not base your decision in this case upon a bias or prejudice in favor of or against a person who may appear in this trial? I mean, you remember we had, and I'm going to have him on television with me this morning. We had Bill Brennan, a Philadelphia-based defense attorney, veteran criminal defense attorney William J. Brennan, who picked a jury in the same courtroom in front of the same judge, and as he represented, along with Michael Vanderveen, a Trump-affiliated defendant. And they lost that case. Bill's value is not only is he a great character and smart guy and a good lawyer, but he's been through this drill. And he told a story on radio this week about a woman who comes in with her summons. They're questioning her. What do you think of, Donald Trump? And she says in an Irish brogue, I hate him. I hate him. And then Judge Merchan, in some questioning, well, ma'am, okay, but could you nevertheless put aside your bias and make a decision solely based on the evidence presented in this trial? Yes, Your Honor, I think I can do that. She stays. And now Bill's got to decide whether to use one of his peremptory charges. The whole objective here is you as the lawyer who are faced with a prospective juror who you don't think is going to be kind to your client, you want that person out, removed for cause, because you only get a certain number of peremptory charges, right? So a peremptory is when, for any reason at all, you strike the person, and Bill didn't want to have to use one of his peremptories on the Irish woman who hates Donald Trump. In the end, it was a scheduling issue. She had to care for a loved one that caused her to get the boot. So that's the dance that is about to play itself out. And I'm asking you in the poll question today, could you put aside whatever biases you might have pertaining to Donald Trump and be a fair and impartial juror in this case? Can he get a fair trial in Manhattan? And I got to say this, I find this compelling. The Wall Street Journal today, lead editorial, the Trump trial begins. By the way, look at this. I went to Staples and I bought copy paper. I bought stuff with holes in it. Like, what the hell? I had no idea. I hope I got it at a discount. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Here's what the Wall Street Journal says today. 8 years later and 7 months before the 2024 election, it's a trial that shouldn't happen in a case Mr. Bragg shouldn't have brought. The Stormy affair was a sordid business, but the DA's arguments is a legal stretch in ways that might bother a skeptical juror or an appeals court. The facts are these. Ms. Daniels has said that in 2006, she and Mr. Trump had one intimate encounter. A decade later, as the 2016 election neared, Mr. Trump's fixer, Michael Cohen, paid Ms. Daniels $130,000 to keep quiet. A non-disclosure agreement isn't illegal. Mr. Bragg's complaint is about the paperwork. Mr. Cohen was reimbursed through 2017 via a monthly retainer disguised as a payment for legal services. He padded his indictment by separately charging each invoice, check, and ledger entry to get to 34 counts. Right, that's how they get to 34 counts. It's all the same act, but they counted it 34 times because of the entries. Falsifying business records in New York can be a misdemeanor, but the statute of limitations on that has expired. Mr. Bragg, therefore, must charge felonies, which under New York law means showing that Mr. Trump cooked the books with intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof. Well, what's the other crime? Oddly, they haven't had to say, but the court filings have advanced 4 different theories. They're like throwing it all at the wall. And the best of them is that they're saying that this was a donation to Trump's campaign. Well, this gets to the issue of, was it a donation to his campaign? Did they pay Stormy Daniels because they didn't want the embarrassment for political purposes in the 11th hour of the campaign? That's what the prosecution will say. And Trump's response through his lawyers, he says he's going to testify, I don't know if he will, is going to be, the campaign had nothing to do with it. I was trying to protect my wife and my family and my reputation. I was paying money to make her go away without regard for the campaign. And the response to that is to say, really? Well, then why did you pay her in the 11th hour of the campaign? Response? Well, because that's when she was going to come out. I couldn't control when she was going to come out. So that's where we are. Yeah. Could you be fair? Could you be fair? Go vote. Go vote at Smerconish.com on the poll question of the day and tell me whether Donald Trump can get a fair trial in Manhattan. This should be a good television program. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. What a busy week this has been. So many different things going on. Thank you if you were in Sellersville last weekend. That was really extraordinary. Really extraordinary. All right, gang, stay dry if you're in the Northeast. Watch the Masters this weekend, and I'll see you soon on TV.